All right, Mike. So today I want us to start talking about a new set of skills, and I want us to start talking about mindfulness.
Mhm.
And more I find that when people come to see me, they've actually already heard about mindfulness before I say it. And I see you nodding. So tell me what you already know about mindfulness.
Not enough.
Okay.
I know it's just being more aware of your life in the moment where you are at this precise time, which is kind of vague and it's kind of daunting because it seems like it's something that would be really hard to do.
Yes.
So I've been afraid to tackle it because it just seems like I don't know if I can get my head around that, but please, I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're getting at a really important piece of mindfulness, which is the present focus piece. And so I agree with you that mindfulness can be really hard and it takes a lot of practice. And we're going to talk about kind of a structured way to do that that'll hopefully make it seem a little more approachable.
Yeah.
But let's start by getting on the same page about what we're going to mean about mindfulness here when we talk about it together. So for our purposes, we're going to think about mindfulness as a non-judgmental, present-focused awareness of our emotions, right? So those three pieces. So I want us to take each of those pieces individually and talk a little bit about them. So let's start with being non-judgmental. Tell me what it means to you to be non-judgmental.
Well, reserving judgment. Don't go in with any preconceived notions, maybe, or don't judge things on the surface. Maybe I think I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does.
Yeah,
It does. And when we think about being non-judgmental, I always think about describing just the facts of something.
Right.
Right? Like we're a doctor or a scientist.
Or lawyer or something, yeah.
I often think, a scientist goes into the woods and they look at a tree and they might say, this is a redwood tree and it's 100 years old and it's 100 feet tall, right? They don't necessarily walk into the woods and say, this is a stupid tree,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's a judgment. So when we are non-judgmental, we stick to describing the facts and we withhold any evaluation of something as good or bad or right or wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to our emotions, what do you think is helpful about being non-judgmental of emotions?
Well, to be objective about it. I mean, we're subjective people because we're always judging ourselves, I guess. But yeah, just to be objective, just to isolate it, pull it apart, just look at it as what it is, rather than read too much into it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we've been working on, right? Like we've been working on seeing emotions as information and looking at those thoughts, physical feelings, and behaviors in a really objective way.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is when we judge our emotions, we actually tend to make ourselves feel kind of like ashamed for having them, right? We make the emotion more intense. We might add some shame there, but we don't necessarily get any more helpful information from the emotion. We kind of make ourselves feel bad for having an emotion that we need that gives us information. So let's think about an example. Let's say I'm walking across the street and I've got my little walk sign. I'm walking across the street, right? And I see a car come flying at me, right? If I don't move, it's definitely going to hit me. What emotion do you think I might feel?
Fear. Fear, anger, surprise, shock, whatever.
And what do those emotions communicate to me?
Danger.
Yeah, I really need fear in that moment, right? Because it's going to help me realize that I am in danger.
Get out of the way, yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
That's useful.
Very useful.
Stimulus,
And so let's say then my fear activates, right? I get out of the way, I get to the other side of the street, and I sort of evaluate what happened. If I am non-judgmental, I might say, okay, you felt afraid. That makes sense because you were in danger. You're safe now, right? And you're going to keep going about your day.
Yeah.
And how do I feel when I say that to myself?
Well, you relaxed yourself. I mean, you let yourself know that was a useful emotion to have at that time.
Totally.
And now it's time to it's gone.
Totally.
Move on, yeah. So in the moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
The emotion did what it needs to do, and then it kind of fades on its own time. Let's say I get to the other side of the street and I'm super judgmental of myself. I'm like, oh, you idiot. You made a huge scene. Everybody's looking at you. You scream like a girl. I don't know why you can't just calm down and be more reasonable.
Yeah.
How do I feel when I say that to myself?
Well, it's self-shaming, I guess. You just feel ashamed of yourself for being a baby, a crybaby, or you overreacted or whatever, and then you bang on yourself for having that reaction. So yeah.
But I needed that reaction, right?
Well, you needed the reaction, but reacting to the reaction, I guess, is what you didn't need to do. You didn't need to internalize it and say,
That's exactly right, right? And that's why we want to work on being non-judgmental of our emotions, right? Because we need that information from them. We don't necessarily need to shame ourselves for having it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions about being non-judgmental?
No, it's a very good explanation, though. Yeah.
Okay. So that's our first piece of mindfulness. Our second piece is being present focused. What do you think that term means?
In the moment, the much ballyhooed expression, being in the moment, just this is it. This is the moment you have, and the one that just passed doesn't matter. The one ahead doesn't matter because this is it.
Yeah.
I guess, right? Pretty much. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what do you think is helpful about being present focused?
Well, then you don't worry about the past and you don't project its future. I mean, if you're in the moment, that's all you're thinking about. You don't think of, you don't start judging yourself for what you did back there or what you might do over here. So, yeah, it just seems a very difficult place to stay.
It is a very difficult place to stay, absolutely. And you're making a great point, right? Like the present is the only time when we can actually do anything. It's the only time we have any influence. We can't change the past. No matter how hard I try, I haven't found a way to control the future. So the present is the only place we can make any change or have any agency over what's happening. The other reason to be present is that our emotions are the most helpful when they're reacting to the present, right? I could sit across from you and make myself super duper angry in this moment by thinking about something that happened in the past that makes me mad, right? But would that be a reaction to our conversation? No. And if I responded to you with anger right now, how would you feel?
What's your problem?
Yeah, you'd be confused, right?
Yeah, mostly confused, yeah.
Or maybe even angry in return, right? Because that wouldn't be very fair.
I do to you, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything to me, right? So if my emotions are stuck in the past, right, and I'm acting off of that, it's also going to interfere with the present, right?
Yeah.
So I need my emotions and my awareness to be present so that I can get the information I need from my emotions and I can also decide what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions about being present?
No, it sounds wonderful.
It does, yes.
To attain it, though, yeah.
It is. It's hard. And so the last piece is emotion awareness, which you and I have already talked quite a bit about, right? Like using our emotions as information. So these three pieces together, being non-judgmental, present focused, aware of our emotions, are going to make up our definition of mindfulness. How's this sitting with you so far?
Sounds great, right? Just remember it and how to put all the pieces together, yeah. I imagine it takes practice like anything else.
It does, right? And for that reason, I like to think of mindfulness like weightlifting, right? The more you lift a weight, the stronger a muscle gets. And often when you lift weights at first, it is uncomfortable and you're tired afterwards, right? And so the same thing is going to happen with mindfulness. As we go through sort of a series of exercises together, they're going to get more and more challenging. And that's sort of like adding weight, right? But it's really that practice that's going to help you reinforce those skills of being non-judgmental and present focused.
Yeah. Sounds doable.
Cool.
Yeah.